Hello and welcome to a vehicle I never expected to find myself driving, and that is the DMC Delorean S2. Now in today's video we are going to cover how the vehicle performs standard, how it performs fully upgraded, and also how the vehicle performs once its engine swapped. Yes, it can actually get the engine swap from the Rampage Camaro that we have in game, so that means it's going to be one very spicy build. So if you do go on to enjoy this video, don't forget hit that like and subscribe button. Now when it comes to the DeLorean, I really didn't expect myself to drive this vehicle because unlike other movie vehicles, I never really liked Back to the Future, so I never really saw a need to actually drive the DMC Delorean, because if you actually look besides the fact that it was in a movie, this vehicle's actually sort of underwhelming because it has a 2.8 liter V6, which you think would produce quite decent power, and it only produces 197 brake horsepower. But what actually caught me off guard was the fact that this vehicle is actually rear engined. I never knew very much about the DeLorean. In fact, I didn't know anything about the DeLorean. So to actually find out that it's rear engine, rear wheel drive, it's basically a slow Porsche 911. Now when it actually came to the design behind the DeLorean, Mr. John Z. DeLorean, he was the driving force behind Pontiac in the mid 1960s. He was also the vice president of GM at the time, and when he left GM in the 1970s, he established DeLorean. So the DMC 12 is actually a mass production vehicle to come out of DeLorean, and it has the chassis built by Lotus and the body design done by Ital Designs. So the vehicle had 128 horsepower coming from a single overhead cam V6. Now the DMC 12 saw an increase in power by DeLorean actually coming out with a Series 2 model, and that is what we have in game, and that is why the car produces now a staggering 197 brake horsepower, because DeLorean owners and potential buyers were not very pleased with the fact that the vehicle only had 128 brake horsepower, and the fact that the vehicle had a rust-proof stainless steel aluminium body and gull wings attached. That really just made the vehicle so eye-catching, because if the paint wasn't blinding you when those doors opened, it really attracted all the attention. So when it actually comes to how it performs in Gran Turismo 7, it's actually not as slow as you would expect. Now yes, okay, you aren't traveling at crazy speeds, but with the suspension being handled by Lotus, well, the chassis being handled by Lotus, it doesn't corner that badly. And yes, okay, having less than 200 brake horsepower is not a lot, but in fact it's actually quite sufficient, because I actually found myself enjoying being behind the wheel of a standard DeLorean. Now let's just say you aren't happy with the standard performance of the DeLorean. Well, you're in luck, because in fact you can add some really good parts to this vehicle. You can actually add 3 ultimate parts to the DeLorean. So we can add some really expensive parts to see some well needed power gains come to the DeLorean. And then we have the usual old faithful engine balancing, polished parts, exhaust, what's what. Now what was interesting was the fact that we couldn't add any aspiration. So we couldn't add a turbocharger or supercharger, so it was just up to the standard V6 to produce as much power as possible. And that power figure ended off being 375 brake horsepower, so less than 200 brake horsepower was added to it. And considering the fact you spent over 200,000 upgrading the engine, it's really not worth it. But you can also remove quite a bit of weight, because with the vehicle weighing 1288 kg stock, you can actually remove over 200 kgs from this vehicle, making it extremely light. Now with the vehicle being fully upgraded, we actually see quite a bit of a difference. Well, the car's acceleration dramatically improved, as well as its top speed, and we cannot forget about the handling. Overall, we see a massive difference come to a vehicle. Well, for spending over 200,000 credits, I would hope so. But how does it actually feel to drive a fully upgraded DeLorean? Well, the vehicle it's not groundbreaking. It's not gonna blow your socks off. You aren't gonna be like, wow, this is one of the best driving cars in the game, because simply it's not. I mean, it has a humble less than 400 horsepower, and when it comes to handling, well, okay, it is quite decent, but it just doesn't really have that oomph to give you that overall performance to make you say, wow, this is a really good car, you really need to try it out. And considering the fact that this vehicle costs what, 525,000 credits in Gran Turismo 7 if you purchase it from Brand Central, it's insane. It's insane. But understand, okay, the vehicle is extremely rare, it has its movie legacy, but it's just really not worth the money. That is, however, until you decide, you know what, I want to engine swap it. Now if we head on over to GT Auto, we now have the ability to engine swap the DeLorean. So we can take the LS7 engine out of the Rampage Camaro, which instantly doubles our fully upgraded engine's horsepower. So the fact that this engine swap only costs 250,000 credits, I'd say don't even waste your time fully upgrading the standard engine, whereas you could have taken that same 200,000+ and purchased this engine and instantly make the DeLorean an absolute beast. And what's crazy in fact is, after engine swapping the vehicle, you still have the ability to upgrade the Rampage's engine by adding ultimate titanium connecting rods and pistons, a high RPM supercharger, engine balance tuning, and just other parts to make the vehicle have over 1,100 brake horsepower. Yeah, it's a massive difference, and considering the fact that the vehicle now only weighs 1,054 kgs, it has more power than it has weight. So with that information, let's see how good it is on track. Now once we begin driving the Rampage powered DeLorean, we see a massive difference, like astronomical difference between this and the standard engine being fully upgraded. I mean, just coming around the first corner, I was so unprepared for the amounts of power that we are going to be receiving. And with it being a rear engine rear wheel drive vehicle, they are a bit tricky to drive. It's just like a Porsche, and because of that, in Gran Turismo 7, the handling of rear engine rear wheel drive vehicles are a bit all over the place and can be sketchy at best. And that is no different with the DeLorean, except I'd say it handles a lot better compared to most Porsches. So now with the engine swap, I can say that the DeLorean is actually well worth the money. So with spending 525,000 credits and then still adding another 250,000 to it, well, you're roughly at what, under 1 million credits. And for a vehicle under 1 million credits to perform like this is actually really fun. Because the thing is, yes, you can get a super fast track vehicle, but the minute you want it to slide out, you can. The minute you want to start drifting, you can. The minute you want to set a fast quarter-mile time, you can. The vehicle can now do so much that it wasn't able to do before we engine swapped it. And that's just the thing with engine swaps in Gran Turismo 7. It has the ability to completely overhaul and change the way a vehicle performs, and make someone like me, a person who had absolutely no interest in driving the DeLorean, actually want to drive it again. So with that feeling alone, I say you have to try out the DeLorean, because even GT Planet mentioned it as one of the top 10 engine swaps for you to try out. The DeLorean is insanely fun, insanely fast, and for those movie lovers, it is gonna be just your absolute track weapon. So with that being said, I hope you guys still go on to enjoy this video. Don't forget, leave a like and subscribe for more engine swap content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.